My name's Eric Welander. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about 5 ways I use my HomePod minis every day. Now, I'm up to 4 HomePod minis in my home along with 2 full-size HomePods. And I put together this list, and I bet whether you're thinking about getting a HomePod or HomePod mini or you already have one, there's probably a few things on this list you've never thought of doing with your HomePod. So there's chapter markers or markers in the description down below, so feel free to jump around to whatever makes sense for you. But let's get started. So number 1 on the list is controlling my HomePod music playback with HomeKit scenes. Yes, you heard that right. Scenes with inside HomeKit can control the music on your HomePod. So scenes in HomeKit are a way to control a number of different accessories like lights all at once. But it's not just for lighting. It can be used for all kinds of accessories in your smart home that are compatible with HomeKit. And then when you add a HomePod to a scene, then you'll get the option to choose which audio you want with it. So I'm going to talk specifically about the music playback here with HomePods and automating that with scenes, but keep in mind, you can also chain together some lighting changes in your home if that makes sense for what you're trying to do as well. And you might wonder, why am I doing this? Well, sometimes you might have multiple HomePods and you want to play the music around multiple rooms in your home, and you also maybe have a specific playlist or album that you want either, played on shuffle and repeat, or you want a specific song on repeat, or, all kinds of different details. You can take out your phone and tap a bunch of things and, spend some time to get it all set up. Or you can do it in a scene where then you can easily ask Siri on your HomePod to trigger that, and it's going to create that automatically for you just with that one request. So if we go here to my kitchen, you'll see that there's a HomePod mini there that's paused, and I have this scene called Dinner Jazz. Now, I've made all of my audio scenes have the little celebration emoji icon because it kind of looks like a speaker and it helps me know, aha, that scene has music associated with it. But if I just long press on this scene, it can open it up and you'll see that it triggers playback on 3 different speakers. So I have my pair of full-size HomePods in the living room, and then I have an AirPlay 2 Sonos speaker in the dining room, and then I also have the HomePod mini in the kitchen. So it's going to trigger playback on all 3 of those. And under the play audio option in this scene, you can choose between all these different details you want to have happen with that scene with your HomePod. So you can control your HomePod to play audio. Of course, you can pause the audio. You can resume whatever was already, playing audio on that HomePod, and you can also just adjust the volume. So it could also be great to control your HomePods with maybe a good night scene that sort of resets the volume on all of them to the same level every night. Now, you can also then choose audio in here. Now, this is something where you do have to be subscribed to Apple Music to get this all to work. Although, that's really where the HomePod comes to life, is being used with Apple Music. So you might already be subscribed there. And I think some of this works with iTunes Match without Apple Music, but I'm not 100% sure on that because I'm an Apple Music subscriber. So let me know in the comments if you use your HomePod with iTunes Match and some of these HomeKit automations. But from there, you can choose, playlists, either curated by Apple or your own library. You can also choose any of the radio stations. And of course, in this case, I've chosen a curated playlist from Apple called Piano Bar, which, random aside, I highly recommend that if you're looking for sort of that fancy restaurant vibe in your home. It's a great playlist. And so I take that playlist on repeat and also shuffle it so you don't listen to the same order of songs every time you play this scene in HomeKit. And then I also set a custom volume on the HomePods to be there. Now, one of the downsides of this is that when you're doing it across multiple rooms, it sets the volume on all the speakers to that same level, which might be different things. Of course, a pair of full-size HomePods at a specific percentage of their volume is going to be louder than a single HomePod mini. But, it's better than, I think, just taking whatever they were previously set to. So keep that in mind as something you can control or just leave to what it was. Now, if we go over here to my son's room, he is a toddler, and it's nice to help reinforce some routines as he's getting ready for bed. So we have a variety of different scenes related to his, preparing for bedtime. But the first one basically controls just the HomePod mini in his room, and it plays a specific song that he really likes on repeat. And so he'll hear that and recognize it, and over time it started to sink in that that means that it's time for bedtime. So hearing that song helps him just get ready for bed. So I wanted to point that out, is that you can also, this is a specific song and it's just on repeat. So it'll continue to repeat that specific song. Now, I have 3 children under 3 in my house. So if you want to hear more about using smart home tech with HomeKit for nurseries and all kinds of other stuff like that with children, be sure to subscribe. I plan to make some content around that soon. So number 2 is controlling my HomeKit TV. Hey, turn off the TV. So of course you can ask Siri to turn your TV on or off, but you can also ask Siri to turn on certain scenes that you've set up, and those scenes can control your HomeKit TV. So if we look here in my basement, I have an Xbox scene, and that just controls my television. And with that, it'll turn on the TV and it'll set the input of the television to my Xbox One S input. So that can be a really nice way to just have one command that takes care of, just setting up the TV just how it's supposed to be for something. Now, taking that a step further, of course, you can chain these scenes with multiple accessories. So you might not know that Roku has recently added HomeKit support to a number of their boxes. So if you have a Roku box, really you can basically just turn it on and off in HomeKit. It's not earth-shattering, but it's pretty handy, especially in this case. I can ask Siri on my HomePod mini right there in my basement to turn on the Roku, and then it turns on the Roku Ultra, and it turns on the television, and it sets the input of the television to the Roku input. So just a great way to get everything in your smart home set. And of course you could use smart plugs maybe for things that are not compatible with HomeKit, but just a great way to get everything set with your TV just with one quick command to your HomePod in your living room or wherever you watch TV. Hey Siri, turn on Roku. So number 3 on the list is having automatic playback of my music on my HomePod with HomeKit automations. So we talked earlier about how HomeKit scenes can create music playback on HomePods, but what you can also do is automate the scenes turning on inside HomeKit. So, you could do this with any kind of sensors, like if a motion sensor or door sensor for just if you walk into a room, maybe when you undo your smart lock, it starts playing, some kind of Star Wars theme song as you walk into your home. But one of the things that I've done with that is I love listening to music in the morning, but I'm often way too busy and distracted with other things, of course, with 3 kids and getting ready for work and everything else, that I would often forget to turn on music. So now I create an automation to make that really easy. If we go here to the kitchen again, you'll see that there's a morning piano scene. Now it looks a lot like the dinner jazz scene, but it's actually playing the Simply Piano radio station from Apple Music. Now this is one of those kind of, algorithmically generated stations of music, just plays piano music. And how does it automatically turn on? Well, if you go over to the automation tab, I have an automation for 8 a.m. daily. When somebody is home, it will turn on this scene, and that means it will start playback of the music on the HomePods. So, and then it will also turn this off after 2 hours. Now, one of the tricky things with this is when you turn on these scenes in HomeKit, usually you'll see like a scene light up in HomeKit when you turn it on. With the audio ones, it doesn't. It's sort of, I don't know if it's a bug or just the intended use case, but it doesn't really turn on the tile. But with the automations, you're still able to use this thing where it automatically turns the music off after 2 hours, which is really nice. Now, of course, you can stop the music beforehand if you want to, just by, you know, tapping the HomePod or asking the HomePod to stop. It's also great that you can sort of schedule this music playback for a specific time interval. So we can go in here and select, you know, if we want it for just maybe a minute or two, all the way up to 4 hours. Now, number 4 on the list is transferring podcasts from my phone. So people talk a lot about the audio quality of the HomePod Mini, both in good and bad ways. And one of the things I think is really good about the HomePod Mini's audio quality is because it just has really clean treble sound. It makes it really nice for spoken word, like podcasts. So I listen to podcasts on my iPhone with Overcast, and then I can, you know, play the podcast on my phone, hold my phone up really close to the HomePod, and boom, it's transferred over to the HomePod Mini and it's playing there. This only works on the HomePod Mini, not on the full-size HomePod, at least the first generation full-size HomePod right now. But you can then quickly transfer your audio to a HomePod Mini. So I have a HomePod Mini right here on my desk, and so if I want to be listening to a podcast while I'm doing some work, I can hit play and then transfer it over to the HomePod Mini, and I have this great speaker playing whatever podcast I'm listening to, and I can still control the playback from my phone, but it's playing on my HomePod. And this is going to sound a lot better than just playing the podcast from my phone's built-in speaker. Now, number 5 on the list is also related to podcasts, but it's a little bit different, and it's asking Siri to play a specific podcast for you. So you can ask Siri to play a podcast, and it will play it sort of outside of your normal podcast listening app and setup and everything. And that can be really nice, I find, for a lot of these daily news podcasts. You know, they're putting out episodes every day. Maybe you try and listen as many times as possible, or maybe, you know, you switch between a variety of ones depending on what mood you're in. But then all these episodes aren't clogging up your podcast player that you feel like you have to catch up on. With listening to them on the HomePod, you can just listen to the latest episode, and then you're done with it. And so I love this for things like Apple News Today or the Wall Street Journal Minute Briefing. And depending on the name of the podcast, you might have to add the word podcast in your request to Siri, but then, you know, it should be able to figure it out and play back the podcast. And this can just be a great way to catch up quickly on the news with a quick update that's relevant to you while you're doing work or the dishes or whatever else you do around your HomePod. That does it for my list of things I love to do with my HomePods every day. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. It really does help the channel and this video. And be sure to subscribe if you aren't already and you're interested in more smart home content. And be sure to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram as well. I post pretty much every week some interesting stuff on both of those platforms. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.